to not just throw money at the problem, but truly get our hands dirty to see our city transformed. And so thank you guys for showing up again to be here tonight. And I'm Jen Robinson, just to reintroduce myself, and I run the youth program. And 3 years ago, thanks to your generosity, we were able to start working with minors in our community that have been affected by trafficking. And 3 years ago, we knew the problem, but I didn't know the depth of the problem. Like Melissa said earlier, we have worked with 53 minors in our community since January. 53. The youngest this year has been 12 years old. Yeah, in the past, we've seen as young as 11 years old. They come from every single high school across Reno and Sparks and most of our middle schools. We continue to get 1 to 2 referrals every month. I think this year alone, we've had 23 new intakes that we've done and countless other referrals that we've gotten from social services, from schools, from hospitals, and most importantly, word of mouth from our girls of their friends that are still out there. And so we know the problem is even deeper than what we're aware of today. For our youth specifically, we have found that 86% of them continue to come back to receive services, which is why our number continues to grow. This includes case management, it involves our adventure activities, it involves therapy and fun activities, truly giving us access in the space that we need to be proactive with these kids. In the age of social media and quick exchanges, we truly desire what is real. And I still believe that that is what makes our program unique and successful. Relationship and connection always come first. It's how we're wired. And our participants want to be involved. They crave what is different. And we get the honor of meeting them where they are at and the privilege of being allowed to enter in. This summer, we hired our 3rd youth case manager. With over 50 minors on our caseload, we knew we needed to grow, and in order to do quality work with each participant, I am so thankful that we had the resources to do so. We're making a difference, and early intervention in the lives of young girls is truly going to be the catalyst they need to end years of potential exploitation and abuse. And I'd love to just stop and thank our case managers right now. They are the real champions. They are the advocates, the defenders, and the cheerleaders who day in and day out fight hard for our girls and our women. They love unconditionally and show up when most are too afraid to. I asked each case manager what their most memorable moment was from this past year, and each said something that was completely out of a normal day. Week-long camping trips, day trips to Lake Tahoe, taking one of the girls to her very first concert where she actually got a hug from the lead singer. Amazing. Watching our girls take steps towards Jesus and believing that there's a different way, learning their true identity. What the work we are doing is truly making a difference in young girls' lives. A question that I often get asked is how it all works together. How does the community rally together to ensure the best quality of care for each participant? And I'd love to share a story of a girl named Emma. We first began working with Emma in 2018. She was just 12 years old. And school police at one of our local middle schools who had been to one of our trainings started to notice a few of the red flags and phoned Awaken. One of our case managers was able to head to the school to meet with her, and sure enough, both she and her older sister, who was 14 at the time, were both being trafficked. A few months after receiving services, Emma ran back to California and back to her trafficker. She wasn't ready to break ties with what was so familiar, even if that meant an abusive situation. Early on a Sunday morning, Emma reached out to her Awaken mentor. It's one of the many reasons why we love our mentors. They show up, they love unconditionally, and because of the genuine relationship and connection that they have, they're often the first point of contact when one of our girls is ready to come home. And so Alex connected me to Emma who was scared, sick, but ready to leave her trafficker. It was 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning, a time that is virtually impossible to get a hold of anyone who works Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but our community says otherwise. I phoned Shannon McCoy, who immediately picked up, and she gave me the okay to get Emma an Uber to the airport and a flight home. Emma didn't have an ID, so I phoned Jim Deal right after, who assured me that Emma didn't need an ID because of her age. She was 13 at the time. But what I didn't know was that at 13, you aren't allowed to travel through the airport by yourself. You need an adult to walk you through security. Thankfully, Jim Deal, who did assure me he was not a miracle worker, but he was willing to make one call. His one call was also willing to make one call. And because of their yes, we were able to get Emma safely on the plane back to Reno, where we greeted her at the gate with a sign and balloons. We got our miracle. It just took each one of us being willing to say yes and make one call in our own sphere of influence, and together we changed the ending of Emma's story. So I ask each one of you, what is your one call that you are willing to make tonight that will impact the ending of trafficking in our community? How we welcome these women and girls back into our community matters. And I'm thankful that Reno shows up, that we're not afraid to have hard conversations and find new and creative ways to address problems that seem too big for most to even try. One of the problems we found is that when a youth re-engages back into our community, she enters right back into many of the same social structures she ran from in the first place. Emma was placed right back into her group home, and just a few days later was re-enrolled back into public school. When you are one of 2,000 thrown into a classroom of 30 plus other students with multiple different teachers, it gets overwhelming fast. It's overwhelming for any teenager. Now picture yourself just days before being recovered in San Jose. Your brain is in a constant state of survival and fight or flight because of being on the run and being exploited night after night. Add abuse, trauma, fear of authority, and triggers. The reality of entering into school a few days later with the ability to sit still and learn for 7 hours straight isn't feasible. Even with the extra wraparound support that the school could offer, it wasn't enough for Emma. This is where we need your help. Our goal tonight and this year is to create and host a specialized educational and holistic school specifically for our minors that need additional wraparound support. We have met with a representative from the school district, from child welfare, and most importantly, a handful of our current participants to get their feedback and their buy-in. We asked them to dream up what their ideal school setting would look like. They want individualized teaching with the ability to ask questions with no fear of being made fun of. They need the ability to take short breaks if they're feeling overwhelmed. They want a comfier chair. We can provide that. We absolutely can help create a space that is fully theirs to learn, grow, and discover new possibilities for their lives. We would be able to have their case managers on site, tutors, and their mentors involved. We can provide psychoeducational groups, individual and group therapy on site, and have the ability to do fun activities and take field trips to help them reconnect to themselves and healthy people. Our goal is to create an educational restorative school for these kids, which will set the foundation for them to live beyond their trauma. Our hope is that in learning that they can conquer and succeed in the classroom, that they will extend that belief in all areas of their life, going from simply surviving to thriving. The first time that we met with them to start planning, they didn't know how big they could dream. They were still confined by the four walls of a traditional school. But over time, they felt comfortable asking for bigger things, like individualized teaching, tutors, and a coffee bar. And by the end, they were asking how fast we can start because they want to be included. For the first time in some of their lives, they believed that attaining their education was in reach, that it wasn't too far out, that they could actually succeed. And I do believe that it is vital to phase the reentry back into school and back into social situations that they just recently ran from. It's a trigger and it's a stumbling block that we do and can remove. We do have it in us as a community. We need the community to wrap around us, to get behind these women, these girls, and us. We need the finances. We need the resources. We need tutors, mentors, people to truly stand in the gap so that we can actually make this a reality. Part of the reason that we are here tonight, part of our fundraising goal, is to raise money for this school specifically. And I believe that we can do it. And I ask you again, what is that one call that you are willing to make tonight that's in your own sphere of influence that truly will change the ending of trafficking in our community? Thank you.